Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be. Today we are discussing the IHS virtual information session on the Urban Environment, Sustainability and Climate Change Specialization track here at IHS. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your time today. So today what we're going to do is a lot of you know IHS already. Some of you may only know us a little bit. And so this webinar series is designed so that we can delve a little deeper and go deeper into the content of what our students study here and also what we research here at IHS too. So today we're asking for about an hour of your time. And what we're going to do in that hour is we're going to answer any questions you might have. And if you have any questions that you might have, please feel free to add them to the chat box on the left-hand side of the screen, on the right-hand side of the screen, and at the end we'll circle back to them. We have a presentation which is about 20 to 30 minutes long, and as I said, so at the end we'll circle back and try and answer any of your questions. My name is Fergal. I'm the admissions officer here at IHS, and I'm joined here today with Alexander Loss, Elena and Alberto, the coordinators of the Urban Environment, Sustainability and Climate Change Specialization track. And briefly, we'll outline what we're going to do today. So introduce ourselves and what we're doing here today. And I'm going to hand over to our helpful and happy staff in the specialization track, and describe a bit more what we do on a modular level, what the specialization staff do within their specializations and what our students study also. The hope is by the end of the webinar, you'll have a clear idea of the master's program and our ethos towards the education program itself. And at the end, we'll end with some student profiles, some stories about what our recent alumni have done, and also the backgrounds of the students that think about applying with us also. So the Urban Environment, Sustainability and Climate Change Specialization track, it's part of our flagship master's program in urban management and development. We've done this program 16, 17 years now. And the idea is that every October, we welcome approximately 100 urban specialists across different fields. We have 6 different specialization tracks. And the idea is that within this umbrella master's program, we're catering to a variety of fields, specializations, interest areas. The program itself is a full year, 51 weeks. So about 100 students join us in the beginning of October. And in that period, our students are sharing group work, general courses, introductions to theories, as well as action planning classes, really building a cohesive group amongst you. The aim of these courses is to develop a strong, cohesive group, as well as a good environment for knowledge sharing amongst your peers. However, quite soon after you join us, you're really going to delve into the specialization track that you chose at the application stage. This means that you'll be in the class of 100. You'll be in a smaller team of 15 to 20 students, and you're going to be working directly in the environment, sustainability and climate change field very early on. So the idea is that within block 2, after Christmas, you're only working within this group. You're experts in the field. You know exactly what you want to do your research topic on. You know exactly who's got similar ideas to you and who you want to partner with on future projects. In that same period, in block 2, we have a full program of guest lectures based around IHS's network of experts, both in the Netherlands and around the world. We also have a portfolio of electives. These are supplementary courses. These are designed to give you an option to take something on top of the specialization track that you're already doing. The hope is by the end of block 1 and block 2, you not only have a real in-depth grounding and knowledge within your specialization, but you've also benefited from the collaborative knowledge sharing environment of your peers, as well as the a more comprehensive or holistic view of urban development based on these guest lectures and the electives that we offer. Of course, this is all then geared towards you starting your thesis in blocks 3 and 4. So the idea is that it's an intense year. You do a lot of work, but the idea is hopefully is that you're learning from a variety of different fields. You're benefiting from not just the teaching staff here, but also what you learn within your cohort of students also. Okay, like I said, guys, if you do have any questions, please feel free to write them in the chat box as we carry on the presentation. But for now, I'm going to pass over to the course coordinator, Dr. Alberto Gianoli.
Thank you, Fergal. It's nice to be able to talk to you and to explain to you a little bit about the program and also the staff involved in the specialization. I'm one of the staff. I'm an economist by background. I've been working at IHS for 15 years. Initially, I joined as a governance specialist, and more recently, over the past decade, I've been increasingly involved in research, education, and advisory projects related to climate change mitigation and adaptation at urban level, decision-making analysis related to, for example, the prioritization of adaptation and mitigation initiatives. And also, and this is something which I think is quite important within the specialization, we do a lot of research using large data sets. So the specialization, I think, is very strong, both in terms of quantitative and qualitative analysis. But in my particular case, I really enjoy analyzing large data sets and using advanced statistical, econometric, and also machine learning techniques to the analysis of these data sets. So just to give you an example of studies that we may carry out, we like to look at the environmental performance of cities worldwide. So we compare large data sets of cities, and we try to understand what are the factors that explain the specific level of performance. So this is just one of the areas in which we are doing research, but later on, of course, we will be able to dig deeper into this area. My colleagues who are here with me now, Alexander and Elena, will also introduce themselves. I think it's also important to emphasize that besides the core team here at IHS that works on environment, climate change, and sustainability issues, we tap into a large network of experts, both within IHS, within Erasmus University, but also within the Netherlands, or I should say within Europe as a whole. So each year we invite guest speakers from the academia, from the public sector, from the private sector. And the aim of this is to give you, future participants, the opportunity to learn from other specialists in the field, and also to network, so to establish potential working relations that may be useful for you in the future. So this is just a short introduction about myself. I would like now to give the floor to Alexander Loss, and he will be followed by Elena.
Thank you, Alberto. My name is Alexander Loss. I'm originally coming from the climate research field, where I worked at the KNMI and the University of Technology in Delft before joining the institute at Rotterdam University. My interests are mainly related to climate change, which comprises projection scenario analysis. Furthermore, the urban air quality and urban heat island effect, especially when it comes to human issues like exposure risks or vulnerabilities, and also the involvement of citizen science, so as to create more awareness of the problem, such that citizens are enabled to have more impact on the problem. Furthermore, I'm interested to, especially in satellite data, remote sensing, and Earth observation, so to process this information for the research and to combine this with socioeconomic indicators. That requires also some technical skills in the sense of processing these data. It's actually a big data problem, satellite data processing. So I'm using Python and GIS to process, to analyze these this information. Elena?
Hi everyone, my name is Lana Marie Enseñado, and I'm one of the coordinators of the Urban Environment, Sustainability and Climate Change specialization. I've been with IHS for the past 6 years, and I've been working not just on education and training, but also on research, advisory, and projects. Lately, I've been working for the European Commission on a project on how we can facilitate cities and regions in Europe to learn from and with each other on how to finance and implement their sustainable energy and climate action projects. My expertise and my research interests include transitions and ecological resilience, also climate change adaptation and mitigation, including nature-based solutions, as well as tools and methodologies on how we can plan different action projects towards adaptation and mitigation. And these can include how we can perform vulnerability assessment using different methodologies, as well as participatory decision-making using multiple criteria analysis.
Thank you, Elena and Alexander. Why study the master track Urban Environment, Sustainability and Climate Change? I think there is a very simple reason and a very important reason. In our lifetime, urban areas worldwide will experience probably the largest ever external shock, and this is climate change. So it's of great importance to understand, on the one hand, the theories and the concepts that allow us to better conceptualize and determine how cities worldwide can become more resilient, more climate smart, better able to deal with the consequences of climate change. And also, at the same time, to try to prevent the negative effects, and I'm referring in this case to mitigation approaches. So how cities worldwide can reduce the level of CO2 emissions. So mitigation and adaptation, of course, two very important issues that are being discussed within the specialization, both at a theoretical level, but also at a more practical level. And in this case, I'm referring to the use of particular tools and methodologies that allow us to analyze how cities, how urban areas worldwide can make better decisions, optimal decisions, in order to become climate-proof, in order to increase their level of adaptation and resilience. So, and this is one of the core aspects of the specialization. I think the capacity that we have and that we will be able to transmit to you in terms of linking theory and practice. So there will be a good balance between, on the one hand, theoretical approaches, conceptual approaches, but also how these can be translated into practical advice, into practical decision-making, so that cities worldwide can become climate resilient.
And speaking about practical subjects, so that our students will be exposed to different projects in Rotterdam as well as in the Netherlands about what are the existing and innovative examples of urban environment sustainability and climate change projects. Also, our students have the opportunity to link their thesis research to real-life ongoing projects here at IHS. IHS, as mentioned, is very active in advisory and research projects, and our students can have the chance to work on these projects and later can also publish in peer-reviewed journals. We also have a broad network of international organizations. We have close ties with organizations such as UN Habitat, United Nations Development Program, Asian Development Bank, World Bank, and so on and so forth.
So as I mentioned previously, one of the characteristics of the specialization is the focus on theories or theoretical approaches, but also practical tools and practical analysis. And so on the one hand, we will cover from a theoretical point of view a range of concepts which we think are very important in the areas of climate change, sustainability, and resilience. As I said, resilience, vulnerability, as Elena mentioned, climate change adaptation and mitigation, nature-based solutions, which are an increasingly important area of research and advisory. And the idea here is to use solutions which are nature-based in order to be able to better address in a more effective and efficient way sustainability and environmental issues. And also very important is the issue of sustainability transition. As we know, climate change dynamics are long-term ones, and so are the effects that urban areas will experience. So it's important to also have a long-term perspective and see how now we can start the transition towards, for example, more sustainable ways of energy production and consumption. And related to this, also the issue of circular economy, which is based on the idea that the economic system are closed systems, and that therefore it is important to reduce, for example, the amount of waste or the amount of resources which are used. So these concepts will be dealt with on a theoretical level, but also we will be able to relate them very practically and in very concrete ways to the development and the application of assessments tool, analytical tools, and also to relate these to what we think are some of the key areas and key sectors which affect the environmental and climate change performance of urban areas worldwide. I'm thinking here about transport sector, sustainable mobility, air quality, the urban heat island effect, energy, of course, with the whole the discussion and the ongoing research on renewable energy and how to make the energy sector more carbon efficient, greenhouse gas emissions accounting, and so on. So again, one of the key characteristics of the specialization is its strong theoretical underpinnings, but also a very important focus on practical and concrete tools and decision-making approaches that urban areas worldwide can use in order to become climate-proof and resilient.
For urban environment, sustainability, and climate change, we don't just look at one sector, but we look at different sectors, and as Alberto mentioned, its connection to water, transport, air quality, energy, and so on. But we also look at different levels, how different governance and other stakeholders can implement projects for climate change. So for our specialization, we also look at spatial planning, we look at flood risk management, we look at land management and governance, we look at economics and finance as well. And at the end of this specialization, we expect that our students can also learn different methodologies, such as how we can map and assess ecosystem services or the benefits that we derive from nature, how we can able to assess the level of vulnerability in different cities. We can also take a look at different specific tools and methodologies, such as space and place syntax, fractal analysis, R, statistics, Python, and GIS.
So here we give you some examples of learning modules. I will start with the urban environmental assessment and climate change module. So in this module, we teach you climate change related subject, such as the very strongly related urban heat island effect, which is really a consequence, or at least increasingly a consequence of climate change. And also, which is strongly related to climate change, is air pollution, because air pollution deals with emissions, and emissions like greenhouse gases are related to climate change. So, and also the relation between those topics is an important subject. To get a better understanding, we give you also a background of climate change, and we say or explain what four things mean, what is typically a scenario, emission scenario, and what that will lead, and what climate projections are, and what the implications and consequences are of these on the environment, the urban environment, and citizens. We also do some workshops, practical exercises. In these exercises, we work with real cases that we turn into concepts and solutions. So we do not stop with theory, we apply it directly.
In the second module of the specialization, we will deal with climate change adaptation and mitigation in urban areas. So climate change has these two fundamental dimensions, mitigation and adaptation. In the past, they used to be considered as separate and dealt with separately. The current thinking is actually to look also at the relation between the two and there is a growing area of research which relates or which focus on so-called co-benefits. So in practice, this means looking at how certain interventions at the level of urban areas can both reduce the level of greenhouse gas emissions and also increase the resilience or reduce the vulnerability of urban areas. So in this module, what you can expect is in-depth analysis and description of what are the key issues related to both mitigation and adaptation and their relationship, and also again practical tools. For example, in relation to greenhouse gas emissions, we will see how to account and measure the level of greenhouse gas emissions. We will see how to identify and prioritize different interventions in terms of their cost effectiveness. So we'll use some economic based tools to be able to rank different options that urban areas have in order to reduce mitigation. And we will do a similar type of analysis in relation to adaptation, because of course we know that urban areas worldwide are vulnerable to climate change dynamics, and also we know that urban areas and decision makers have budgetary constraints, so they have to take decisions and they have to prioritize and to be able to choose which courses of action to undertake to reduce the vulnerability of urban areas. And we will do so by using and by looking at particular approaches like so-called cost curves for adaptation that allow us to differentiate and prioritize between different options. So again, what is important here is the balance between theory. So we look at trends, we look at the reasons why urban areas are facing these kind of threats, but also then looking for practical solutions. So looking for ways in which decision makers and urban areas can address in very concrete ways the challenges that climate change dynamics are posing to urban areas.
The third module is about urban ecosystem services and nature-based solutions. By urban ecosystem services, we talk about the different benefits that we can derive from nature. And these can include, for example, provisioning services such as food, water, as well as regulating services such as for air quality regulation, for climate regulation, for water regulation, and so on. But we also take into consideration what are the benefits for people, for residents around and within urban areas. And we are connecting urban ecosystem services to nature-based solutions, because we think that these benefits that we derive from nature can also be used to address societal challenges such as climate change, disaster risk, as well as water management problems. In this module, we are going to talk about how to map and assess ecosystem services. What are nature-based solutions? Do we consider this as umbrella term for all types of green solutions, such as ecological services, ecosystem-based adaptation, and so on and so forth? And it's not just theory or concept that we will be discussing here in this week, but we will also bring you to practical examples of nature-based solutions in the Netherlands.
In the last examples we would like to present to you, we will look at the relation between urban form and environmental performance. The specialization is very much interested in measuring environmental performance of urban areas worldwide, which means trying to understand what is the level of environmental performance in terms, for example, of greenhouse gas emissions, in terms of green areas, in terms of urban heat island effects, and so on. So we have developed a range of indicators that allow us to measure the level of environmental performance, and then also to explain what determines this level. And one, as research shows, one key element is urban form. So how cities are designed from a spatial perspective. So this has a strong impact, for example, on the level of greenhouse gas emissions. Research shows that the more compact the city, the less the level of greenhouse gas emissions per capita tend to be. There is a growing area of research in looking at this particular relation, and we think that urban form can be a very interesting viewpoint from which to look at how cities worldwide perform in terms of a number of indicators, not necessarily related to greenhouse gas emissions. This type of analysis requires the use of GIS and also large data sets. So it's one of the, I think, specificity of the specialization, and is one area in which we think there is really potential to do very interesting research. Some examples of the tools and methodologies. As has been mentioned by myself and my colleagues, the specialization has a strong focus on applications. So we want our students to be able not just to be familiar with the key theoretical and conceptual developments, but also really to be able to apply concrete tools and methods to the solution of real problems. So we really spend quite a lot of time during the specialization teaching you and using together some very interesting approaches. One of them is scenario analysis, which is of course very important when we talk about climate change or environmental performance or sustainability in general. During the scenario analysis workshop, we will make use of a spatial platform. Is a software which has been developed by a company in the Netherlands called Tigron, and this allows you, or will allow us together to map and develop and project the future, how a future urban area will look like in terms of its environmental impact and its environmental performance. So it's a GIS-based platform that allows us to upload and to add data related to a certain particular area, and also then allow us to model what is the effect of certain interventions on this particular area. Is something that we have been developing and working on very recently. So it's something extremely new, which we are very proud to be able to present to you. And we really hope that this is something that we'll be able to work together on.
One of the tools and methodologies that we introduce in the specialization is vulnerability assessment, and it is one of the first processes to undertake in climate change adaptation planning process. The aim of the vulnerability assessment is to identify people, places, and assets that are vulnerable to climate change. It is also used to raise awareness. It is also used to justify and inform the choice of adaptation actions. What kind of adaptation measures or actions should you undertake in a given city? In this week or in this workshop, we are also offering different tools and methodologies that you can use and apply one of these in Rotterdam. So we balance, as already mentioned, concepts, theories, as well as practice.
There are two more parts in this example tool methodologies track. That is the Python and the GIS, as well as R, programming and statistics. These are more technical workshops where you learn, if you decide to go for Python, for instance, how to use this language, how to apply it, and how to create graphs. And the GIS tool we will introduce to you because you might want to process geoinformation data such as maps or satellite imagery for your analysis. This both will allow you to go deeper and to explore the information and to see how when data is available and to transform that for your research.
In addition to Python, we also offer training in R, which is also, we think, one of the leading programming languages, particularly useful for statistical, advanced statistical analysis. So again, this is something that is unique here at IHS. I think we are the only specialization offering training in these two particular areas. And we do so because we believe that there is a growing demand for these types of skills. So especially when you need to enter or re-enter the labor market, showing that you're able to program in Python on R can really give you an edge. So in terms of both R and Python are of course very important, and to some extent they offer similar functionalities. In the R sessions, we will focus mainly on statistical analysis, and we also cover machine learning algorithms. So this is also something which is quite new and innovative and has a lot of potential applications in the areas of environment, sustainability, and climate change, not least because of the increasing availability of large data sets, which allow us to compare thousands or tens of thousands of cities worldwide. The advantage of this is that we will give you access to data sets that we have been putting together over the past years. So you will be able to apply immediately the techniques, the approach that we're going to teach you to these data sets. And you may decide, if you're interested in doing a research based on secondary data, based on the data sets that we made available to you, and then applying the Python or R programming skills that we are going to teach you.
For the specialization, our students are going to visit different examples of innovative projects here in the Netherlands. Examples of these projects are the storm surge barrier, which is one or perhaps the biggest example of climate change adaptation or flood management project in the Netherlands. We'll also take a look at how the municipality of Rotterdam is climate proofing the city. What are the climate change adaptation and mitigation projects here in Rotterdam? For example, you can see on the screen a water square, which during dry season can serve as a playground for kids or for other recreational activities. But during wet season, this can be water storage. This can have water storage function. Another example is the Roof for the River project located in Nijmegen, which is actually a very innovative project because they have rerouted the rivers and made transformational landscapes in the city. And also for those who are interested in the circular economy concept, you can go to the Blue City in Rotterdam, where different entrepreneurs and private sector are bringing the circular economy concept into economic activities.
So why study urban environment, sustainability, and climate change at IHS? Alexander will shed some light on this.
I'll kick off here. So the university, the Erasmus University, is regularly, consistently ranked in the top 3% of the world's best university. By the way, the Erasmus University is also a very proactive player when it comes to climate mitigation. Our teaching methods are unique because we combine lectures, workshops, excursions, and more, so that you can gain relevant expertise on multiple levels. Our faculty members are regularly involved in projects and advisory research, so which makes that they are working on real life cases around the world. And this is reflected in the lectures, which will help you, for example, to define relevant master thesis research topics. And furthermore, other experts from national and international institutions and organizations are regularly invited to give guest lectures, which contributes to a varied and interesting educational program.
Another important reason is that we believe that we offer the perfect balance between theory and application. So as we explained already, we aim to provide you with a solid theoretical background, but also to allow you then to immediately apply the skills and the tools that we're going to teach you to the solution of real and concrete problems that urban areas worldwide are facing. And this, of course, is very important because it offers you very important skills in terms of the labor market. Furthermore, we offer really an international and diverse environment, not just in terms of the faculty. Alexander, myself, and Elena are all coming from different countries, and we have here at IHS and with the specialization staff from different continents and different backgrounds. But also in terms of the student population, usually environment, sustainability, climate change is the largest specialization at IHS, and we have a very broad range of backgrounds, of nationalities that creates the ideal conditions to learn and to exchange opinions and information. So I think it's really a unique opportunity you have to join an innovative program that will give you the opportunity to maximize your learning experience.
It is also exciting to study in Rotterdam because, as we have already mentioned, there are a lot of innovative projects and creative projects here in the city, not just in the city, but also in the Netherlands. And we like to bring all these practical examples into our lectures. Aside from that, one of the, let's say, we also partner with different organizations. The lecturers are not just from IHS, but also from different Dutch universities, as well as from different partner organizations. We have guest lecturers from ICLE, from Arcadis, from UN Habitat, and all other leading organizations around the world.
So a very important element of the specialization is the thesis or the thesis development process. Here you can see a number of examples of theses that have been developed in the past. It's not a representative sample, of course, but give you some idea of what kind of research you can do within the specialization. So you can focus on urban sustainability transition, you can focus on circular economy, you can focus on financing instruments related to climate change adaptation or to green finance. You can focus on particular sectoral approaches like urban water, but also energy and the relation to adaptation to climate change. You can focus on sustainable mobility, which is, of course, a very important sector, a very important area, a very important infrastructure sector in terms of, again, sustainability and climate change. Energy, as we have already mentioned. You can focus on community resilience. So as we have said, we balance qualitative and quantitative research. In fact, I think we're probably the only or one of the few specializations at IHS that are able to supervise both qualitative and quantitative research because of the background of the staff. So you can, of course, choose whether you want to do a more qualitative type of research based on case studies, based on interviews and questionnaires, or you want to use data sets that, as I mentioned earlier, we will make available to you. Another strength of the specialization and one of its unique characteristics is that, and which also reflects the particular attention we pay to the thesis development process, that we encourage our students to publish the findings of their research. This is something that we do each year, and we've been quite successful at that. So for those of you that would like to, after you finish the thesis, to publish it into a peer-reviewed journal, we will provide you all with all the necessary support. Here you have an example of a thesis which was turned into a paper and then published in a top peer-reviewed journal. It's one of the examples. There are others, and it's as I said, it's something that we are very keen on supporting you with in case you're interested. And this also testifies the passion and the importance that for us has the thesis. I think the thesis is the most important piece of research that you'll be doing when you are at IHS. And we have a lot of experience with this. Personally, over the years, I've supervised more than 100 master students' theses, and I'm currently supervising 8 PhD students. And Elena and Alexander also have a wealth of experience. So we really would like to ensure that the thesis you'll develop will be of the highest possible quality. And of course, as I said, if you're interested, we can support you and turn it into a publication.
Now, about career opportunities for graduates of our specialization. We are, as staff of the UESC specialization, are very updated with the recent trends in terms of environment, sustainability, and climate change. And we would like to link the skills and competencies that our students can learn from the specialization with what is expected from the labor market. Our students have found career opportunities, not just in the Netherlands, but also globally. For example, our former student, Max Russell, has taken the role of junior project manager in Circle Cities in the Netherlands, and he actually focused his thesis on circular economy. We also have Rosita Singh, who was a former project manager with the Philips Global Sustainability Office, and now she's the current head of the solutions mapping with the United Nations Development Program. Other examples of positions of our UESC graduates include consultants Asian Development Bank, as a planning advisor at GIZ, as an urban governance and policy specialist at UN Habitat, as a full professor at university. And also our students have become PhD students here at IHS and EUR and other Dutch universities.
So I think that was, thanks very much, guys. I think that was extremely informative. Hope that it was clear not only what we provide as an institution, but all the extra things that you might not understand from our website or from meeting us offline. If it's not the education itself that our students benefit from, it's the networks we have, it's the group work that you do, it's the opportunities that we have that are quite singular. A question that we get really often is this relevant to me? What experience do I need to apply? What does an IHS student look like? And the answer is there is no one type of IHS student. So the infographic you're looking at just gives you an idea of where our previous students have come from, what they used to do, and where they're from around the world. As I said, the Urban Management and Development Master's Program is normally about 100 students roughly. And of those 100 students, the classroom is generally represented by 40 to 50 countries. This year we have 45 nationalities in the classroom. And as I think you might have understood from the presentation so far, these people might work in the private sector, they might work in the public sector. You might be a fresh graduate who has worked in economics, and you really want to look into a new field like the circular economy. Similarly, we have people who are established in a career, maybe in architecture, and they're looking to upskill and they're looking to change paths. Maybe they want to move from the corporate sector into an NGO, for example. All these things are experiences that our students have gone through previously. I'd say the one thing that all IHS students have is they have a desire to upskill in a new field. I think that's really what we've tried to reflect, is that's why our program is so multidisciplinary. You'll be in a classroom of different specialists, you'll all be working on different things, but you'll also be learning from each other at the same time. So we're coming to the end of the presentation now. If you do have any questions for any of my colleagues here, please do write your questions in the chat box on the side, and we'll return to them shortly. But just in terms of practical matters, as I said, the program itself is 12 months. It's a full program. It's an intense program. Everyone's working extremely hard as soon as they get here. But our students are so grateful for the amount of work that you get to cover whilst you're here. The things you benefit from the guest lectures or the electives, as well as the fact that we're a small institute, that we're a real community of people. So you'll recognize all of us within only a few weeks or months here. Like I said, the program starts in October every year, and the tuition fee is the same for all students. It's 13,900 euros, which we understand can be a problem for some students. If you have questions about financing or funding, please reach out to the admissions office. We're here to answer those questions, and we've done our best to create resources for you that can be helpful. So we have a scholarship and funding database on our website, which our students have found very helpful in the previous years. I'd also advise that if you are looking for scholarships for the master's program, students need to apply before March 1st. This is the application deadline to make sure that we have enough time to prepare your applications for scholarships. Preparing your applications for scholarships is something that we do a lot in the admissions office. We like to think that we're experts and that we can advise you on this. So if you are thinking about applying, please make sure you do it before March 1st. So admissions requirements. Like I said, there is no one type of IHS student, and our job is to try and make sure that we can accommodate a completely international classroom. So one of the things I would say is really looked upon well by us is a proven ability to work well in an international environment. You'll be dealing with people from all the continents of the world, working in group work. The functional language of IHS is English. So we ask for an authorized accredited test in English language, normally an IELTS test, or at least evidence that you have completed academic work in the English language. We also get questions saying, oh, I'm a fresh graduate, all I have is a bachelor's degree. That's not a problem if you're interested in something like GIZ or moving into statistics, but you haven't done that before. We check your academic quality, we look at the transcripts, and we see what things you've already studied. We don't expect you to be experts in GIZ or in secular economies or architecture at this stage. We're looking at across a whole bunch of criteria when we're looking at your applications. If you're thinking about applying, our recommendation is simply to apply so that we can give you feedback. So that's everything, guys. I hope that was informative. I hope that was helpful. So what we'll do now is we'll cycle back up to the top of the chat box, and we'll go through your questions one by one. We'll probably be here for about another 10 minutes. We'll see how long it takes to all get all your questions answered. But if you're thinking about asking us a question, please answer us. Please write it in the text box as soon as possible. Okay. So, Alex Galinos. So, are we trained in managing and analyzing large data sets by using statistics, econometrics, and AI?
Yes, you are. So this is one of the possibilities that we offer. So both Alexander and myself are familiar with these programming languages that we mentioned, Python and R, which can be used to the analysis of large data sets and through the application, as you say, of statistical, econometric, or artificial intelligence techniques. We are not, this is one of the possibilities, one of the options. As I said, participants can also, students can also decide to choose a more qualitative oriented type of research. Both are welcome, but for those of you that are interested in developing these kind of skills, you can be sure that you will receive the required and expected training.
Thanks, Alberto. Okay, next question. Is the applicable for someone with the business background? I've experience in analysis, but this program description makes it seem a little more the program will be focused on the application of the research. We get a version of this question all the time with the admissions office, and we work closely with all of the academic teams so that we make sure that we're not suggesting the wrong people for the classroom. I think anyone here could attest, there is no single background for this classroom. If you haven't done statistics, if you are unfamiliar with Python or using any of these technical programs, that's not a problem. Apply. We'll see if you have the basic groundwork from your bachelor's or from your previous experience. Maybe there's something from your professional background that you can also draw on. We also make sure to look very much at your CV when you apply as well. Is there anything you want to add to that?
I think as Fergal mentioned, I mean, we welcome participants from all different backgrounds. We have had in the past students with a business background, and of course it depends on your own personal interests. So if what you're interested in is environmental sustainability, climate change at the urban level, we welcome you, of course, as one of our potential future students. Business and the private sector, of course, have an important role to play in relation to sustainability and climate change. So people with a business background, of course, welcome to join the specialization.
Yeah. I think people with the business background, it's a very common bachelor's background for our students. A lot of us, as I was saying, a lot of our students, they have a solid academic background in one field, and they're looking to find an application that draws on something that they're interested in now, as well as something that maybe they did back in school. So preparing a business case for urban transport systems in cities is something that is just an example of the things that our students look at here. Is this master's accreditation transferable to the US? Yes. So it's important to say the accreditation that our students get when they graduate is universal. The accreditation you get is a higher level diploma, a master's level diploma from a top 100 university in the world. This is not a professional accreditation. It doesn't come with us saying it's not the equivalent of a chartered architect or something like that. It doesn't say that you are accredited in GIS or anything else. However, what you have is you have the academic background and a transcript that you can defend your background in. Okay. No one from your country has joined. So guys, we have 20 people on the webinar so far, but normally after these webinars close, we have 400 to 500 people viewing. So I'm sure we'll be seen around the world if you give some people to wake up, depending on their time zone. Okay. Do we need to have knowledge on tools such as Python, GIS, R programming beforehand?
No, you don't need to have any prior knowledge. Again, if you're interested, you will develop the skills related to the programming language that you mentioned, but no prior knowledge is needed.
Yeah. Lloyd, what is the possible and viable scholarships for UMD? Lloyd, it's a great question. As I said, if you go back on the presentation a bit later, you will find that link for the scholarship resource. Please read through the criteria carefully. They're different for every different scholarship. But we're pretty proud to say that there is something for almost anyone on that database. And again, if you do have any questions, or if you're not sure if you're eligible, simply email us. Sometimes that's the quickest way to get an answer. Okay, Mariella, thank you for the information. Is there anything specific, previous academic average, bachelor's degree as a requirement? Okay, Mariella, so it's a great question. And again, we get it all the time. IHS, at least on our admissions page, we don't ask for a specific GPA or grade point average. What we're really making sure that we do is that you are motivated, that you've understood the topic, and that you have a clear, it's clearly something you're working towards academically. So we're going to look at your GPA. It's obviously really important. We also want to see what professional experience you want to do, what your professional aspirations are. If IHS is a logical place to help you realize those aspirations. We're also going to look at your transcripts. Maybe there's something that you don't think is directly relevant that you've already studied, but maybe we'll think that that shows that you have an academic ability or an academic interest. That means that we are sure that you're going to work well in the group work, in the programs, in the different electives, whatever it might be. Okay. Sophie, are we free to focus our thesis on different areas around the world? Absolutely. So if we were a completely international institute, we'll never put a geographic constraint on your area of focus, and actually that's really down to you. Maybe the thesis supervisor could speak a bit more clearly on
Yeah,
that.
of course. I mean, we welcome actually people from all over the world. We have experience with supervising theses from all over the world, so there are absolutely no constraints related to the urban areas or the country that you're going to select for your thesis.
And it also depends on what kind of method we use. Would you focus on more qualitative methods, or would you use quantitative methods, or a combination of these? So it depends on your research topic, what kind of method would you use, whether you're using a case study or more data sets. It depends on you.
Yes.
Okay. Ashreya, can you further elaborate possibility on scholarships other than OKP? Because OKP does not include this course on priority list for this country. Yeah, so Ashreya, as I was saying, I really recommend that you check the database on our website. That is updated all the time. Our offices are always looking for new funding opportunities, and we actually rely on our alumni network and our student network to bring these opportunities to us. So if you know anything, please let us know. But I mean, just based on what you're knowing, what you've asked, I would say look at our website, see if there is a the Erasmus University have launched a new scholarship or fund, which you might be eligible for. This is the LEARN scholarship, and it's designed as a waiver for students from the developing world who might want to come across and study with us. But something that all the scholarships have in common, you have to apply first. You need a letter of admission so that you can start the scholarship process. Adam, is it all focusing apart from economics and environmental aspects, e.g. tackling regional environmental problems or CO2 emissions?
Right, thank you for your question, Adam. So the key focus of the specialization, as we described, is environment, sustainability, and climate change, and we look at these issues from different perspectives. economics being one of them, but we also look at environment, sustainability, and climate change, for example, from a governance point of view, from a geographical point of view, and we are open to different types of analysis. So I hope we didn't give you the impression that I'm an economist, for example, but Elena is not, nor is Alexandra. Probably I'm the only one, in fact, within the team. And we really provide a good balance of approaches. And that's why, again, we welcome people with different backgrounds, with different interests, and we are able to accommodate all of these, not least because we see environment, sustainability, climate change as cross-disciplinary by definition. So certainly we don't only focus on economic aspects.
Great. Lloyd, are international students allowed to work in the country? Yeah, Lloyd, it's a question we get all the time. And I mean, there are strict restrictions on what you can do as part of the visa that you'll be issued. I think our students are allowed to work a very limited number of hours. I think it's 10 hours, it might be 16 hours. Please don't quote me on visa regulations though. Lloyd, the best advice that we always give as a industry though is the program is extremely intense. We ask a lot of your time because we want to cover a lot in the 1 year that you are with us. That means that you'll be in IHS maybe 5 days a week. It means that even when you don't have lectures, it's going to be in your interest to be here in the library, working in a group, working late hours. So, of course, if it's something that you can do and you can make it work, there's nothing stopping you. But in reality, as soon as our students join and they see how much work we ask of them, they don't really think about it. Okay, Ricardo. When the program ends, do people from foreign countries have a chance to work for a year in the Netherlands? Yes. Okay, so Ricardo, it's another great question. So again, I'm not here as a representative of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but the visa that our students are issued with is a 1+1 visa. So it means that you will study for 1 full year, and then you have 1 year after graduation in which you can look for work in the Netherlands. It's a great opportunity for our students because it means that although you don't have the support of IHS, you do have the accreditation as an IHS alumni. We've got 10,000 alumni around the world, and being hooked into that network is a great help to our students and our recent graduates when they're looking for new jobs. Okay, Andrea. Good evening. Is it available as a part-time program for workers? Andrea, we don't offer a part-time modality currently. In reality, there's too much to cover, and it's very hard for you to do all the modules that are expected when we break it up into different parts. It's a question we get all the time. I'm happy to discuss it with you in more detail. What I'd recommend is if you are really serious about this, you can speak to the admissions office, who can then put you in touch with program management and give you a more detailed answer on this. Okay. So it looks like we've done a perfect job and there are no more questions. So I think it's been a productive hour. I think I hope that we have answered all your questions, guys. If anything hasn't been answered, you'll notice that in the presentation we've left all of our email addresses. So maybe you want to talk course content with Elena, or maybe you want to know more about programs with Alex. Contact any of them directly, but if not, the admissions email is there. We're always happy to answer questions for you. Even if we're not the right people to answer the questions for you, sometimes it's quicker to ask us directly, and then we can put you in touch with the right person. So I hope that was helpful. Thank you again for your time, guys. And if you have any questions, please get in touch.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
A lot.
Bye.
Was there more questions?
No, it's just thank you.
Okay. Good. Thanks a lot.
Well,